And welcome into the Make the Money and Run podcast, sponsored by the Britannia Arms of Cupertino, where I am today. Also, the Britannia Arms of Capitola. Today, NFL Sunday for Week 14. Come on out and see the NFL Sunday ticket. A lot of playoff implications, a lot of games going on right now. But as of now, as we welcome you in live from the Britannia Arms in Cupertino, Vasu Vada party here. Charlie O is going to join us in 1 second. In fact, there he is right now.
Hey.
Charlie O, welcome in. Charlie, how are you? NFL Week 14. Are you excited? I'm actually very excited about this, considering it's either an underdog day or it's a hair of the dog day, and those are two different meanings. But let's go. Britannia Arms Cupertino right now. How are you, Charlie?
Hey, listen, I'm good. Got the flat cap on to feel a little more Britannia Arms today.
All right, well, let's hit it. We got 15 minutes before the kickoffs here, so let's get to the 7 games that are going to go off at 1 o'clock Eastern. Again, we're sponsored by the Britannia Arms of Cupertino and Capitola. Don't forget to jump in on Super Draft Pro also for fantasy football and daily fantasy sports. superdraftpro.com/VParty Sports, or download the app on the phone. All right, 15 minutes till kickoff. We'll get to our picks in a second. We posted it on social media selection Sunday, as we did at 12 o'clock Eastern. We'll have another one, social media selections, at 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 for the afternoon and evening games as well. Don't forget the NBA and NHL going as well, too. All right, let's start off, Charlie. In order of times, the Baltimore Ravens are visiting the Cleveland Browns. Baltimore with that 16-10 victory 2 weeks ago. Justin Tucker had the big game, the 3 field goals. Jackson threw 4 interceptions. Baltimore 3-3 on the road, 1-5 against the spread on the road, and only 1-5 over under. Cleveland 4-2 at home, 2-4 against the spread, 2-4 in the over under. Cleveland a 2.5 point favorite, 44 the total. Your thoughts?
Well, Baltimore has been a real enigma to me because they've been scoring so few points. They've scored under 20 points in the last 4 games, and that always is of concern to me, except they're going in to play a team that's a mash unit. I have all the respect in the world for Baker Mayfield for being out there. I don't know how the guy's standing up, let alone throwing a football. But I think that the Ravens know they have to have this game. And I just have they have been somehow just winning. And I think that's reflected in the way the spread is laid out on this game. So I think that this will be a Ravens victory, but I think they are going to have to go out and work very, very hard to win it, because the Cleveland Browns are not just going to go out and lay down in this game.
It's a grind. All right, let's move on here. The Las Vegas Raiders, everybody talking about the Kansas City Chiefs. They're 1-3 starts, 7-1 since then. They're 8-4. Raiders are 6-6, only 2 back. The Chargers and the Bengals we'll get to in a second. Actually, the Bengals we'll get to in the second half of the show, and the Chargers at 1 o'clock after these early kickoffs go off. But here are the Raiders going into Kansas City, a house of horrors it's been over the years. 3-2 on the road, 3-2 against the spread, 2-3 on the over-unders. Kansas City 5-2 at home. Those 2 losses came early during that 1-3 stretch to Buffalo and the Chargers. 5-2, but only 2-5 against the spread. We know they had big spreads early in the year, and they came down. The defense has been great, top 5 defense, 3-4 in the over-unders. The line, Kansas City 10-48. I saw 9.5 in some places. I made my wagers last night, so some of these lines came out, but 10-48 for Kansas City. You see the Raiders have any chance? Some people are taking the Raiders, Charlie.
I don't see the Raiders having a chance. The Raiders' defensive scheme against Kansas City the last time they played resulted in 5 touchdown passes from Mahomes, and Mahomes has not been throwing a lot of touchdown passes, and it was literally because of the scheme that the Raiders are putting out there on defense. They have not changed that scheme in any of the games since then. It's highly unlikely, even if they try to change that scheme up in this game, that it'll be successful, because once you set that scheme and really put it in cement, which is what they've done, that it's going to be successful if you change it up. Mahomes has not been putting up a lot of points, but I think against this defense, they will. I'm leery of it at 9.5 points, especially with the hook. The hook always makes me nervous, but I don't see this as a Raiders victory. I would feel differently if it was in Vegas, but they're also going into Kansas City, which is also, the Raiders have not had success there.
Well, if it's anything like Vegas, it's going to be a blowout. 10 or 9.5, not going to make a difference if it was anything like it was in Vegas. By the way, you can join us on the show as well, too. We'll take some questions and comments at 1 o'clock Eastern for the second half of the games. If you want to join us, get the StreamYard.com link. That's the code right there. If you want to do that, I'll put that up periodically, and you can also catch it on our Facebook and Instagram page as well, too. All right, 2 down, 5 to go. Here's an interesting one. The Jacksonville Jaguars and their defense. I saw a couple people this morning taking Jacksonville. The line is Tennessee 8.5, 44. Jacksonville 2-10, Tennessee 8-4. 0-5 on the road, but 2-3 against the spread. And I can name those two games, actually. I remember one was the Indianapolis Colts, where they were down 17-0 and almost beat them at the end, 2-3 against the spread, but 1-4 over under. We know they don't score a lot. Trevor Lawrence had, a tough time this year. He's going to get better. His interception ratio is not very good, but it's better than I thought it was. It's 1-1. It's 9 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. Tennessee 4-2 at home. They've had a couple of bad losses opening week to Arizona, 3-3 against the spread. And then that loss to Houston 2 weeks ago, that was just a terrible loss. The other one that they didn't cover at home was the New Orleans Saints game when the Saints came back on them down 17-0. 8.5 and 44, Charlie, for the Tennessee Titans, the number 2 seed in the NFL, in the AFC, I should say.
Yeah, I hear everybody getting hyped up on Jacksonville. As a matter of fact, I've even seen some prop bets out there that Trevor Lawrence is going to have 2 touchdown passes and 1 interception, blah, blah, blah. He hasn't had a touchdown pass in 4 out of his last 5 games. Okay.
You meant Super Draft Pro, by the way, not DraftKings, right?
I didn't say anything about anybody.
But, you got some people here at the Britannia Arms.
I don't care. But anyway, well, I do care because they're our sponsor.
They're our sponsors, yes.
But nonetheless, how did this guy all of a sudden get so good? He's been horrible. And not that he's horrible, but they've got a horrible offensive line. They don't have the tools out there. And I don't think unless somehow he went, somewhere and got holy water sprinkled on him, I don't think he's going to get that much better against a Tennessee team that is still really good overall. I mean, yeah, they lost Derrick Henry. Julio Jones has not, been as good as they want him to be. In fact, we don't even know if he's going to play today. But,
he is active. He is active. Julio Jones is active.
He's not going to pull him out of the fire today. I just don't. If you're taking the under on this game, I mean, if you're going to take, if you're going to take them in the points, God bless you.
All right, Vasi Vada Party, Charlie O here. Make the Money and Run podcast live from the Britannia Arms in Cupertino. Come on down, Britannia Arms. I have the note in front of me. I don't know if you can see this on camera, but we'll try and get it on camera here. Bottomless mimosas. I don't know if I can put that on camera here. Probably not off my phone. It's not coming in very clearly. Yeah, I don't know how to do that. Anyway, I'll read it to you. Bottomless mimosas, all-day NFL Sunday ticket, breakfast and lunch, the best British food and pub you'll get anywhere you want. We're 10 minutes away from kickoff, so we will hit the rest of the games. Go ahead, Charlie.
Give me a mimosa. I'm ready.
All right.
Okay?
Well, they might be, like I said, it's either an underdog day or a hair of the dog day. I want to thank everybody on Facebook, Taylor on Facebook, Janine on Facebook. Appreciate you checking in. All right, so we've hit 3 of the games already. Let's get to the big one in the NFC East, the Dallas Cowboys, the Washington football team. Dallas 8-4, 4-2 on the road, 5-1 against the spread. The one they covered that they didn't win on the road was the Tampa Bay game opening night, where they got beat by a field goal, 2-4 on the overs and unders. Washington 3-3 at home, the 4-game winning streak, 2-4 against the spread. But we know that's a different team than it was early in the year because they've won 4 in a row, 2-4 over under at home. Dallas, the line has gone up. I bet it last night at +5. It's gone up to 6.5. Is this because of Mike McCarthy's guarantee? The total 48.
I don't know why it's gone up, but let me tell you, I think Dallas is in for one whale of a football game today. I like the way the Washington football team has been playing football, and I don't like the way the Dallas Cowboys have been playing. And again, this is one of those games. I think the points are moving because Dallas gets a lot of money thrown at them because they are still America's team. I don't know why they are, but they're still America's team. So a lot of money comes flowing in on Dallas games, particularly late. And so I think that's probably part of the line movement. But the Cowboys, they've lost 3 of their last 5 after starting off 6-1. So this is not a team that's on the upswing right now. They're going in against a team that is on the upswing. I like where Washington's going. I think they smell the playoffs. I think that's a big motivator. They've got a great coach. They've got a quarterback who doesn't know that he's not supposed to be this good, and that makes him dangerous as well. They're playing in Washington, which is they again. Football home field advantage is a big thing. Crowd does motivate. It does help. They can disrupt the opposition. So I think that's going to be a helpful thing. I'll tell you, I like the underdog in this game a lot.
Yes, I do too. And we'll get to our picks for the early morning games, selections in the early morning games in a second. We're wrapping up the early morning for the West Coast, early morning situations. We're about 10 minutes away from kickoff and all the games. All right, one underrated game here. The New Orleans Saints are still in it. They're at the Jets. 3-3 on the road, 3-3 against the spread, 3-3 over and under. Jets 2-4, 2-4 against the spread, but 4-2 in the over under, and that total's low. New Orleans a 5.5-point favorite. Don't know what the weather's like in New York. I assume it's not good. 42.5. Zach Wilson's back. It's going to be Taysom Hill at quarterback for the New Orleans Saints. 5.5 on the road, and this is a big win because remember we said it on the Friday football show. Teams 6-12 in the NFC are still eligible. The 6 losses or 7 losses. The 8-loss teams might be out like the Giants. And in the AFC, it's 13 teams, with the Dolphins being the only team at 7 losses there. But here we go. Quickly on the Saints and Jets, Charlie.
Well, I'm just looking. It's going to be 49 degrees in New York, and I'm trying to see about what it's going to be doing in sunny. So it's not going to be bad. It's going to be pretty good football weather there. You know what? The Jets are the Jets. And, again, Robert Saleh.
But I kind of like him, though. I kind of like him, though.
Oh, man. Vesu, I don't know, man. Plus 5.5. I mean, I know the Saints are a hot mess, but if they're a hot mess, I don't know what to call. I don't know what to call the Jets.
All right. Well, it's a big game for the Saints. The Jets, we know 3-9 with Robert Saleh. The Saints lose the tiebreaker out to Atlanta and to Carolina. Carolina and Atlanta going to play each other, both at 5-7, both seeming to go in opposite directions. But again, they're only 1 loss away from that number 6 seed, where the Washington football team sits at 6-6. The Rams are in the 5 spot at 8-4, and we'll get to that in the second half of the show. But 5-7 for both teams. Atlanta 4-2 on the road, which kind of surprised me, and 4-2 against the spread. Those 2 blowouts against the Buccaneers are really the only 2 games they haven't covered the spread. They're 4-0. Other than that, the 1 home game and the 1 road game, 3-3 over under. And then Carolina 2-4 at home. They started off 2-0 at home, 2-4 against the spread, 2-4 over under. The line, Carolina favored by 2.5. Is this a mismatch line with no McCaffrey, Cam Newton at quarterback? I'm thinking Atlanta here for a second.
I'd be leaning Atlanta. I'll tell you what I'm really leaning in this game is the under.
Possibly. I don't know. Atlanta's offense, though, they can score a little bit. Carolina maybe not be able to score.
I don't know. I don't like either of the quarterbacks in this game. I mean, I saw one of the prop bets coming in with will Cam Newton throw over 189.5 yards. I mean, come on. Are you serious?
That's a lot of yards. That's a lot of yards. But I would think Atlanta would be the way to go.
Now, if he was going to rush 189.5, I might be on that.
Better shot at that. All right. Live from the Britannia Arms in Cupertino, NFL Sunday Ticket, 20 TVs, live music, draft beer. Tommy's here, Mike's here. We're going to have bottomless mimosas. It's an underdog day or the hair of the dog. I haven't decided yet based on last night watching that late night basketball game. Last game in the early games is the Houston Texans at 2-10 hosting the 4-8 Seattle Seahawks, who happen to be on a roll right now with the win over the 49ers, 2-4 on the road, 3-3 against the spread, but 0-5-1 in the total section on the road. Houston 1-5 at home, 3-3 against the spread, 3-3 over and under. Seattle 9, and that line's gone up, and that's based probably on last week what they did to the 49ers. 9-40.5 for the Seattle going into Houston, and theoretically neither team's out of it, but this is a dog game. So, but we have to bring it up because they still pay 110 to 100, Charlie, on this. -9-40.5 real quick before we go to break.
Well, I think Seattle's going to win because this would keep them from falling down and not having a guaranteed 500 season. 9 points.
9 points in the NFL. Road favorite, too, for a 4-8 team versus a 2-10 team.
But I got to tell you, the Texans are horrible.
Yeah.
So,
they did come back in the Rams. One of their games that they covered was they were down 38-0 and got back in the Rams with that 2-point conversion. But how about 0-5-1 over and under for Seattle? We know the Texans don't score. And Seattle has a tough time scoring on the road as they did it with Washington 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I'd be looking at that over-under is what I'd be looking at.
40.5 the total there. All right, before kickoffs, we're about a minute away from kickoffs. Let me run through our picks here real quick. Didn't post them, but I'm going to go through Charlie's real quick here as I see it on the post. Charlie has the Kansas City Chiefs. He got them at 9.5. The Washington football team plus 6.5. Better line than I got. I did mine last night just in case. And the Baltimore Ravens at plus 2.5. And for me, as I go to my site here, you can still see me on camera. Check it out. NFL Sunday Ticket, Britannia Arms in Cupertino. While I get the pending wagers here, got some people trickling in here for the 7 early games. Kansas City Chiefs minus 10. The Baltimore Ravens, I'm laying $1.20 at plus 3, though, which I like. And I bought a half a point when it was 4.5 to plus 5 on Washington, although it's obviously gone up to 6. So I'm laying $1.20 there on Washington, plus 5 against Dallas. And then the Tennessee Titans are at minus 8.5. And those are the 4 games that I'm going with as well, too. All right, Vasivada Party Charlie O here. We will get to the 4 afternoon games. Come join us at the Britannia Arms Live if you live in the area, or else get on the site. Here's the site. There's the link right there. Take a photo of it and then type that link in. We'll take 30 seconds. We'll come back. We'll preview the afternoon games as well, the late afternoon games, and we'll give you our final takes on it. Live from the Britannia Arms in Cupertino. Come join us down here for NFL Sunday Ticket with 20 TVs. Back in 30 seconds. All right, welcome back to the Make the Money and Run podcast, live from the Britannia Arms in Cupertino. People starting to trickle in for early morning football, early morning on the West Coast. We got some visitors coming in here. I see you have some familiar faces. Thanks to the Britannia Arms. Thanks to Tommy and Mike for getting us in here, as we are sponsored by the Britannia Arms in Cupertino. We're also sponsored by Super Draft Pro, the new way of fantasy football. If you want to get in on the show, now's the time to do it. We've got some time before the afternoon games. We previewed the 7 early games already. Charlie's on Kansas City, Washington, and Baltimore. I'm on Kansas City, Washington, Baltimore, and I'm on the Tennessee Titans as well, too. All right, afternoon games. We're going to thank everybody on Facebook. Let me give a shout-out to Facebook, Frank and Taylor and Janine, YouTube and Twitter as well, too. Check that link out if you want to join the show, questions or comments, or you can get on Facebook and Instagram as well, too. All right, back to the afternoon games. Lots of machinations. We talked about all the morning games already. The big one in the NFC East between the Cowboys and the Washington football team. Carolina and Atlanta both at 5-7 still in it. The Raiders at Kansas City. Kansas City 7-1 since they started 1-3. Raiders on the downslide right now. 10-point underdog of the Raiders. Of course, Tennessee trying to maintain that number 2 spot. Catch New England. They're down in New England with the head-to-head matchup. They're in the 2 spot ahead of Baltimore, and that's a big one in Cleveland with the Ravens and the Browns. We'll give you some scores here in a second. Some of the kickoffs have started, so hopefully you got your action in, your fantasy football action in as well, too. Britannia Arms of Cupertino, NFL Sunday Ticket, early and late, a full preview of the NFL games and implications, plus all your action and lines, which we've done for the early morning on the West Coast, early afternoon on the East Coast. All right, let's get to the afternoon here as we get to the last 10 minutes of the show. Those Detroit Lions, 1-10-1. The Denver Broncos at 6-6. I'm looking up the standings right now. We said 13 teams are still eligible for the playoffs in the AFC, Charlie, and the Denver Broncos are one of them. How about that? 6-6. The standings for number 5, as I get to the playoff section here, I'll run through it. We did this on the Friday football show. Obviously, too early to determine anything going on now. Chargers, Bengals, Bills, 5-7. The last 3 spots are 7-5. The Colts are off this week, 7-6. Vegas, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Denver, all 6-6. That is 9-12. And then Miami, who's won 5 in a row, they're at 6-7. They're 13. There's only 16 teams in the conference, Charlie. 13 teams, and we've got 5 weeks left to go. And Denver is one of them. They are a 11.5-point favorite. It was 10 yesterday. 11.5. It's gone up. 42 the total. 6-6, 3-3 at home. 3-3 against the spread at home. 1-5 on the overs unders. They've had some bad losses at home. I don't know if this is going to be a bad loss. Detroit 1-10-1, 0-5-1 on the road. That's the tie they had with Pittsburgh. But how about this? Probably because of the high point spreads. 4-2 against the spread against the Detroit Lions. I don't want to say my Detroit Lions; they're in my division with the Bears. But boy, they have won me some money this year with those high spreads. The Pittsburgh line, the Minnesota game 2 weeks ago, and now they've got Denver 4:05 in the afternoon on I believe it's on Fox this afternoon. So Denver and Detroit, Charlie.
Yeah, well, first of all, my hats are off because you kept telling me that I kept saying that the Lions were on their way to a winless season, and you kept telling me no, 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 no. And now they've won a game, they've tied a game, and I think they're going to be dangerous coming off because they're coming off the high of having won a game. Now the problem is they're going into Denver, which is always tough because of the altitude, blah 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 blah. But they're going in to face a Broncos team that they're in disarray. There's already a lot of talk that their coach is gone, and because no matter what he does, there's a lot of talk that the coach is gone. So I think that is a distraction to a team to start with, and I hate that point spread. I mean, I wouldn't jump on Denver at all. I'm not saying I'm going to jump on this game, but if you're going to play this game, you've got to take the dog in this game. I mean, absolutely.
By the way, let me update everybody real quick. 105 and 90. 105 and 90. Yes, after Thursday night's Minnesota win, 105 and 90, the underdogs over the favorites still. So that's almost 53% on the underdogs. And if you take money lines, some of those things have come through. Your units are really high from that. So 105 and 90 coming into this weekend, including the Minnesota-Pittsburgh game from Thursday night. By the way, Minnesota's still in it after the win the other night. Pittsburgh got hurt about that. We'll get to that in a second as well, too. But back to Detroit and Denver. Go ahead. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, I mean, if you're thinking about taking Denver as the favorite, then pass. I'm not saying you got to take Detroit as the dog, but do not take Denver as the favorite in this game with those points. At least pass, save your units, and go invest someplace else in the afternoon.
Yeah, there's other games that we're going to get to in a second here, including one of them. The other one that will be at 4:05. The other game on Fox will be the New York Giants. Fox has a single game this week. The Giants will be visiting the Los Angeles Chargers at SoFi Stadium. Probably no Daniel Jones. I don't think Barkley's playing either. Here's that team, number 5 in the AFC, 7-5 for the Chargers against the Giants team that's 4-8. The Giants are 3-3 against the spread, but 1-5 on the road. We know they get high point spreads as well too. They had the one game against I want to say they had the one game against Washington that they almost won back in week 2. That's one of the games that's the difference in the spread record. 3-3. They had one win in overtime at New Orleans. 3-3 in the overs and unders. They also have I think 3-3 in the over unders, and the Chargers 3-3 at home, but only 2-4 on the spread record at home. They lost to Minnesota. They lost to New England at home, and they didn't cover against the Steelers. That's 3 of the 4 right there that probably they should have won those games. And then 3-3 in the over under. The line is the Chargers 9.5, come down from 10 to 43.5. against the New York Giants. We know the Giants probably out of it at 4-8, but this is a huge game for the Chargers coming off that win at Cincinnati last week, Charlie.
Yeah, the Chargers need to keep going. And Vasu, have you noticed this season there's just a trend for teams playing well on the road and being mediocre at home? And I just don't understand that. I think the underdog record
reflects that.
Yeah, I do too. It's a trend that we have not seen historically in the National Football League. It has always been do really well at home, do mediocre on the road. And so we're seeing a flip there, and I just can't put it together. It is not logical. But you know what they always say, don't bet on anything where the ball bounces funny. So,
that's not logical either. Yeah.
We can bet right back like a moth to the flame. So here we are.
We're at the Britannia Arms. Where's the alcohol? I don't see any alcohol over here. What's going on? I'm ready for alcohol here. Let's go. 10 more minutes left on the show here. 5 more minutes left. We got one score already to report. How about that? The Raiders, they make mistakes again. I don't know if it's probably your local game up there, Charlie, in Sacramento. A fumble recovery for a touchdown has given the Chiefs a 7-0 lead. So we're off to a good start for those of us that have the Chiefs at -9.5. The Raiders have the ball. No score in every other game. The Texans. Who took Seattle -9? Not I. Not Charlie. We talked about that just now. 7-0 Texans. That's the only other score. Saints, Jets, Jaguars, Titans, Ravens, Browns, Falcons, Panthers. All no score. The Cowboys are driving at the 20-yard line. They kick a field goal right now, so they're up 3-0. So we're still good there. But the Cowboys will be up 3-0, and the Chiefs 7-0, and the Texans 7-0. We're previewing the NFL Week 14 in the NFL this week. Playoff implications: 1, 2, 3, 4 more weeks left after that before we get to wild card week, and the season doesn't end until January 9th. This regular season doesn't end, and that's fine because the Super Bowl is going to be a President's Day weekend, which we all hope for, so we don't have to go to work on Monday for the rest of us. That's really what it is. You want to talk about a hair of the dog Super Bowl this year? That's going to be either Uber or Lyft is going to have a big take that day. On that might be the best bet of the day.
Actually, I'm buying a steak truck just to go around to bars, and I'm just going to throw bodies in the back. Is what I'm.
You probably should. All right, the 405 games there. Now the big games, the 425 games, 2 big games in the NFL. Cincinnati Bengals. We just talked about them, 7-5. They lost to the Chargers last week. They lose the head-to-head, so they're in the 6th spot ahead of the. I just saw that the 7th seed is the Buffalo Bills, and they're ahead of the Buffalo Bills by virtue of. Let me see how this goes here. Win tiebreak over Buffalo based on best win percentage in conference games. Okay, so they've got the better conference record against Buffalo. They're out of division, so it's the Chargers, Bengals, and Buffalo Bills. Well, here we go. The San Francisco 49ers at 6-6, going to Cincinnati. The line started at Cincinnati -1.5. Joe Burrow, when he gets sacked 5 times or more, they lose and they get blown out. When he doesn't throw any interceptions or doesn't get sacked, they win. His finger, we know about his finger. We know about Russell Wilson's finger. Fingers have dominated this year, but 7-5 for Cincinnati. They're 3-3 at home, but only 2-4 against the spread. And last week was prime example against the Chargers. 4-2 on the over-under. And this line is -2 San Francisco now from 1.5 Cincinnati. So you're talking 1.5 and 2, 3.5 point swing. And the total is 49. San Francisco 4-2 on the road. We know they play better on the road. 3-3 against the spread. The only one that they didn't cover that they won was the Lions game. When the Lions, my Detroit Lions, again, they came back and covered with that last minute touchdown in week 1, 41-33. But they beat in Philadelphia. They've beaten the teams that they need to beat to stay in that 7th spot. They beat Minnesota, they beat Philadelphia, and they only are behind Washington because of conference games. Wins tiebreak, percentage games and conference games. So there you go. You cover the 49ers. You're about ready to go to the studio and take care of the production value here for the 49ers broadcast up there for your local station. But 6-6 and 7-5. Who's playing better? Who's playing worse right now?
Well, I think that both teams are in a position where they've got to win this game. I think a lot of it depends on Burrows and that finger. I hate it when it comes down to those kind of situations. I really do. I'd like to have both teams at 100% to see 100% games because that's my favorite. For the 49ers, since I know a great deal about them, there's 2 things that have to happen. They have to rush the ball 40 times. That's going to be tough for them because Elijah Mitchell now is out because of concussion protocols. So it's going to be interesting to see how they're going to put that together. And I know when I say that, rush the ball 40 times. Yes, rush the ball 40 times because this is a rushing-based team. They have to rush for Garoppolo to be able to throw and be able to be successful. That's what they have to do. And everybody's going to rush the ball. Everybody's going to rush the ball, including George Kittle. So just watch that to see. The other thing they're going to have to do is they have got to sack the quarterback. Now, they can do that. Bosa, Armstead, they've got the guys to do it, but they've got to stay consistent doing that. So that's going to mean the Cincinnati offensive line. They are the key for them to do well. Now, if Burrows can't go or if Burrows is ineffective, then it tilts to the 49ers. But I'm not convinced that line is moving because of wherever Burrows is at. I'm convinced that line is tilting because a lot of money comes in for the 49ers late. So be careful in betting that game.
Joe Mixon questionable as well, too. He had an illness coming in, and then the finger, of course, for Burrow, the big one. All right, so 3 of the 4 afternoon games. So we got the late afternoon games. The last one, a big one in Tampa. Tampa Bay 9-3 hosts the Buffalo Bills, who were red hot to start the year, but now they're 7-5. We just said they're in the 7th spot in the AFC, last wild card spot, but they're only a game. Let's see, 7-5. New England is 9-4, so they're a game and a half back. A win right now keeps them only 1 game back of the Patriots, who have a bye this week. The last bye weekend, by the way, for everybody in fantasy football and wagering. We're going to get all our games back starting next week, including Saturday football next week, and we'll talk about that all during the week on the Monday, Thursdays, and Friday show, especially the Friday football show at 1 Eastern on this coming Friday. Buffalo 7-5, 4-2 on the road, 4-2 against the spread. They played better on the road than they have at home, at least by the point spread wise. 3-3 over and under. When they play good defense and they can run the ball a little bit, Josh Allen's right there with the best of the quarterbacks. But this is a Tom Brady deal where Tom Brady dominates the Buffalo Bills, and that's what they're talking about. The line is 3.5 and 53. Tampa Bay 5-0 at home, 4-1 against the spread. Again, that's the opening night against the Cowboys where they won with that field goal that opening Thursday night. That's their only blemish against the spread as far as spread records go. 3-2 over under on those are both the Atlanta. That's the Atlanta game, I believe, too. And then the Bears game they held to 3. But 53, I haven't seen Buffalo score that much lately. And last Monday night, it was only a 14-11 game. Different conditions. I know the weather's going to be a lot different in Tampa, but 53 might be a high total. In Tampa Bay, 3.5. I mean, I'd like to see it go up to 4 if you're going to take Buffalo, and I'd like to see it go down to 3 if you're going to take Tampa Bay. So obviously, bookmakers know what they're doing when they put a line of 3.5. I'm just saying that not 15 weeks into the season. I'm just not figuring that out just now, Charlie. Oh, yeah. Hard to believe. I know. Hard to believe. 3.5 and 53. Tough line. What do you think about this game? I mean, it's a huge game for both teams. Tampa wins, by the way. Oh, by the way, I'm sorry. Tampa wins. They win the division this week with the victory as well, too. So they're motivated
which is a click motivator for them at that point. One thing to keep in mind, even though the Bills have been a Jekyll and Hyde team, they have not lost back-to-back games since week 5-6. They have been a team that has been lose one, win one, lose one, win one. So they lost last week. So this would be the scenario win one, except that they're going into Tampa Bay, and Tampa Bay has a lot of motivators here, including win their division. So, that's a big motivator. And man, I'm telling you, Tampa Bay has just got it clicking. They have just got it going on. And Vasu, I don't know if you're like me, but I just can't figure out the Bills. This is a team that we just stamped them. We stamped their ticket to the Super Bowl preseason.
Oh, definitely AFC Championship. I thought after last year,
they are the most disappointing team in the National Football League this season. And we haven't been able to put it all together about what's happening. I mean, there's some obvious things, but wow, what a disappointment they've been.
Vasu Vatapalli, Charlie O here, live from the Britannia Arms in Cupertino for the Make the Money and Run pregame kickoff. The early games have started. Chiefs have a 7-0 lead on the Raiders. Washington down 3-0 to the Cowboys. The Panthers, Cam Newton gets himself a touchdown for 12 yards, rushing touchdown, 7-0 Carolina. We didn't talk about the NFC side very much, but 5-7 for Atlanta and 5-7 for Carolina. The division's probably out of reach, but like we said, the top 12 teams in the NFC are still eligible for playoffs because I look at it right now. Arizona, Green Bay, Tampa Bay, Dallas, and then New England, Tennessee, Baltimore, Kansas City, the top 4 seeds. We said LA, Cincinnati, Buffalo, the last 3 seeds. But then in the NFC, the Rams are at 8-4. They've got a huge game on Monday night, which we'll get to. Washington's playing right now against Dallas, 6-6. They win this game against Dallas. They're right in that NFC East all of a sudden, too. San Francisco at number 7, the last playoff spot. They're 6-6, and they've got that game with Cincinnati that we talked about. Minnesota, Philadelphia, 6-7. Carolina, Atlanta, New Orleans, all 5-7. That's only a 1-game swing from 6-12, Charlie. And even the Rams at 8-4 are not that far out of reach, but I would think that the 8-4 gives them a little bit of cushion, considering that they've got victories over some of these, except for the 49ers. They've got some victories over some of these teams.
Yeah, Vasu. Well, there's 2 things. This game, the 17th game and the 7th playoff spot have worked exactly the way the NFL hoped they would. And so it's kept all the interest. Everybody's there. The books are loving it because it's going to keep the money flowing. So it's all working the way they hoped it would. The long-term situation is going to be is we got to see what it's going to do on the effect of players and their health long-term. Is it going to shorten careers? Blah, 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 blah. And we won't know that for a couple of years.
20 TVs here at the Britannia Arms. They've all got football on, early morning games. We gave you the scores. Bottomless mimosas, breakfast and lunch, all set up here for the NFL Sunday Ticket. Prominently featured here with I see the Browns and Ravens in front of me. I see the Jets and Saints, the Washington, Dallas, and then the Raiders and Chiefs are behind me here as well too. And then I see Carolina, Atlanta over on one TV. So I've got 6 games in front of me. I must be at a sports park. I don't know. I must be at the sports bar because this
And I'm
doesn't
still
feel like
waiting
home.
for
That's
the
for sure.
mimosas. So come on, let's get it.
I'm
hurried up
waiting
here.
for the mimosas. We'll get those going here in a little bit. Like I said, underdog day or hair of the dog. One more score to report. The Tennessee Titans have got a touchdown as well too, so they are up 7-0 on Jacksonville. I got a bad feeling for Jacksonville today all of a sudden, but the Browns are driving in Baltimore territory right now. No score there. Raiders have the ball at their own 19. The Saints have a 3-0 lead. A big game for the Saints. 4th and 2 at the 33. I don't know if they kicked the field goal or not, but the Jets have the ball 4th and 2 at their own 33. My bad. And then the Cowboys have the ball at their own 5 after Washington punted. Texans 7-3 up on Seattle. 40.5 all of a sudden seems very low now. As far as we just said that, 7-3 with still 8 minutes to go in the first. The Cowboys up 3-0, Panthers 7-0, and then of course the 4 games in the afternoon. Late afternoon, Lions, Broncos, Giants, Chargers, 49ers, Bengals, Bills, Buccaneers, all with playoff implications, including that Lions, Broncos game. This is a must-win for the Denver Broncos in the afternoon if they want any chance to stay in with the Chargers and the Chiefs, and even the Raiders for that matter, who are 6-6. Raiders somehow pull off a win. It's going to be interesting. I think they just got a big play with Renfro here on the outside. So they've got a first down, and they're moving right now as well, too. All right, so those are the games that we had today. We're live at the Britannia Arms, 20 TVs, NFL Sunday Ticket. We got going here. If you want to join us, copy and paste that link, and we'll take some questions and comments in the last 4 or 5 minutes that we have here. Thanks to everybody on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. We're sponsored by the Britannia Arms of Cupertino and Capitola, and also Super Draft Pro as well. Log into superdraftpro.com/V Party Join the best new fantasy football, fantasy sports, daily fantasy sports opportunities for real dollars and different ways to play, and it's creating a community. So we're very happy to have Super Draft Pro on with us as well, too. All right, Sunday Night Football. Let's get to it here. Green Bay Packers, Arizona Cardinals play Monday night. They'll get to see what the Packers do because the Cardinals have the number 1 seed at 10-2, and the Packers 9-3. But don't forget that Thursday Night Football game about 6 weeks ago. I think it was week 4. The Packers went into Arizona and beat the Arizona Cardinals, so they have that chip to fall back on in case they end up tied. The Green Bay Packers could end up the number 1 seed. They're going to win the division. We know they're going to get one more win. 4-8 for the Chicago Bears, who have Justin Fields going tonight. The line has come down. Green Bay 9-3. Chicago 2-4 on the road. One of those wins at the Raiders, and then I think that one of the other wins was at. Let me see where the other one was. I'm trying to remember. I should know this offhand. That Thanksgiving Day at Detroit. They beat Detroit on the last second field goal. So, Charlie, Justin Fields, my Bears. I mean, I'm a little biased here for this, and Aaron Rodgers has dominated my team for like 15 years. But no Khalil Mack. Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Sorry. I was looking at my Netflix lineup.
Don't forget, Charlie O. These games still count on the betting circle, so they all pay 110
Yeah,
to 100.
I'll bet on it, but I ain't going to be there for the second half. I can guarantee you that right now. No, I'm not betting on this game.
4-8 versus 9-3, 2-4 on the road for the Bears, 2-4 against the spread, 2-4 on the over/under, 5-0 for the Packers at home, 5-0 against the spread, including the Rams win 2 weeks ago. They've covered every game at home, 2-3 overs and unders. The Seattle game was a low-scoring game, and the Kansas City game, that was on the road, actually, but the Seattle game was a low-scoring game. The last game they had against the Rams, a high-scoring game, 11.5 and 43 for Aaron Rodgers and company tonight in Lambeau Field.
The only number that interests me in this game is over/under, and I'm not sure I'm interested in that number. So this game may be
cold in Wisconsin. Yeah, it might be an under game because they have played better defense than they did the last few weeks. The Rams did get a bunch of points on the board against them 2 weeks ago as well too. But Green Bay with the win will win the division. The NFC North has been Minnesota. I guess is the only team that has any real chance left to get into the playoffs, and they're 9th right now after the win on Thursday night, thanks to the Pittsburgh Steelers not managing the time very well. The Minnesota Vikings are now 6-7. They move up into the 8th spot ahead of Philadelphia and ahead of Carolina and Atlanta and New Orleans. Again, the top 12 teams in the NFC, the top 13 teams in the AFC still playoff eligible as we get to it. All right, we got new Facebook users here. Hey, Tom, Frank, Taylor, and Janine. Thanks, everybody on Facebook. Thanks, everybody on YouTube. We got a couple of YouTube viewers that don't let us know who it is. Any comments, guys? Get any comments out there in Facebook land of what you like today, how the games are going for you, the afternoon games and then the evening games? Let's get to Monday night, Charlie, live from the Britannia Arms. This is the NFL pregame. Oh, next Sunday, we'll take the road show to the Capitola Britannia Arms. down there in the Capitola Village as well too. So I'm gonna try and get Charlie. Maybe Charlie can get his wife down there for a little beach vacation on a week before Christmas. Probably not, but you're welcome to come down. You're welcome to enjoy a little beach weather there at the Britannia Arms in Capitola. They have Sunday ticket. They've got 10 TVs there as well too, and we enjoy their company as well down there as well too. So it's going to be a good time here these next couple of weeks with the Britannia Arms and Super Draft Pro, helping us get through the last 4 weeks of the NFL season. 4 weeks plus this one still. So lots of football to determine the playoff spots. Let's get to Monday night, Charlie. The Rams 8-4 against the Arizona Cardinals 10-2. Arizona beat them early in the year 37-20. We thought the Rams were going to be the team to beat when Arizona came in, because Arizona did not cover their first few games, but they were red hot in terms of just winning the game. They had the one game against Minnesota, did Arizona, where they didn't cover. They had to come back. And then they had the game against the 49ers where they barely covered 17-10 at home. Of course, they went on the road and whooped the 49ers without Kyler Murray. It was the Colt McCoy game, right? Colt McCoy that beat the 49ers that game. Well, Kyler Murray, he's back and healthy. I think he's healthy. There's no definitive word on if he's going to play. I think it's week to week. But with their position, Charlie, there's no reason to enhance any injury for Kyler Murray. If there's any question, they're going to make the playoffs. They're 2 games up on the Rams. They've got the 1 game head-to-head victory. This is a huge Monday night game. The Rams somehow come back with a victory. It puts them a game back, puts Arizona in the number 2 seed, because probably the Packers will win tonight, and they'll end up getting back that number 1 seed with Arizona moving down to 2, and that opens up the division for the Rams. But a win today puts them at 11-2, puts the Rams at 8-5, 3 up with 2 wins against the Rams on Monday night. Tuesday morning, they could be 3 games up and then +2 for literally 5 games up on the Rams going into the last 4 weeks of the year. And I believe that would basically clinch the division if it doesn't already on Monday night. The Cardinals 3-2 at home. They had a rough time at home for some reason. 2-3 against the spread. They lost. They got beat up by Carolina that 1 week. 2-3 against the spread. 2-3 overs and unders. 2.5 the line. Arizona less than a field goal at home. 2.5. With that Rams offense, maybe Beckham Jr. starting to get acclimated with the Rams. That Darrell Henderson's on the COVID list. I don't know who's going to run the ball now for the Rams. And the total 51.5 in the game in Arizona on Monday night. One of the better Monday night games we've had this year.
Yeah, it should be one of the better Monday night games. Everything that I'm hearing so far, Kyler Murray will most likely go. The big thing here to look at is that Arizona has not been a great team at home. Dave Pasch interviewed on ESPN radio the other night with Freddie Coleman, and he just said he does not understand it. Again, here the anomaly that we were talking about. Great road team, ho-hum team at home. Again, explain that to me. Don't know. They've got great crowd, great stadium, loud. It's a dome stadium, so everybody gets excited and it's loud in there. Have not been great at home, so that bodes well for a Rams team that comes in there. This is a game, Vasu, where I'm telling you, I'm tempted. I'm tempted Rams plus the points. I really am. The Rams could put points up on the board.
Would you be more tempted if you bought a 0.5 point to 3?
I hate buying points. Every time I buy points, I get burned. The last time I was successful buying points is when I bought a point on that game where it was 76 point spread, and I did all right on that. That's a lark.
Yeah. I remember that.
I did that as a lark.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, I am looking at it, and yes, I might consider buying that 0.5 point, because the Rams can score, man. That connection between Stafford and Cooper Kupp is just, that is lightning in a bottle, man. And and if Odell is feeling more solid in that thing, now that gives him another option. The running game, that concerns me a little bit, but if they can give him just a little bit of a running game, they can open up that passing game. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a war. It is going to be a war. Nobody's going to run away with it.
Let me ask you this. You talked about Odell Beckham Jr. We see how guys get in the mix and joining teams middle of the year. It's a little different in football than it is in other sports, obviously, because you got a lot more games to deal with. Is it up to the team to acclimate the player into the team, or is it the player's responsibility to acclimate himself and get in there every day and learn the system. Because I'm not sure. I think now he seems more comfortable. He's had a couple of games, but sometimes in these situations, especially with only a 16-game season, you want to get in there fast because they wouldn't have picked you up off waivers or traded for you if they didn't need you like right away.
Yeah, I think in this case, especially at this point in the season, Vasu, I think it's on the player. You know, you wanted out, you wanted a new situation, you wanted to drop into a competitive team. So I think it's up to you to now drop in, learn the system, and give it everything you've got to fit yourself into the team. This is you don't have the time for them to carry you. You don't have the time to be an individual star and let them tailor things to you. You want to make an impact. You've got to fit in. And frankly, that's a question with Odell. I mean, you know, we all know that.
We all know that. All right, couple of updates on scores before we get out of here. Don't forget social media selections for the afternoon, including the NBA, NHL, some college basketball too. Big college basketball game today that didn't get talked about. It's going to be Villanova and Baylor at 3:00 Eastern. I love college basketball. We talked about this more than college football because they play each other. Last night's game with the University of Houston and Alabama was a late night game, 9:00 Central Time in Tuscaloosa. That was a pretty wild crowd watching that game on ESPN2 last night to see that. And then UCLA with their, by the way, I hope everybody's safe with UCLA. They had the trouble getting in there. They had to change the game from 1:00 Central to 8:30 Central, and it was on cable instead of regular TV for Fox because of UCLA having flight problems to get in there on time on Friday. So they had to play a late night game instead of a mid-afternoon game. But we'll have all that tomorrow on the Make the Money and Run podcast. We'll preview all the NBA and NHL for the week, and then Thursday we'll be back as well too at 1:00 Eastern. And then of course the Friday football show next week as well too. We want to thank everybody on Facebook. Don't forget, we're here every Mondays, Thursdays, and Fridays. Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube live. Check out our social media selections every day at 6 Eastern. We'll have another one, part 2 of the podcast minute, on social media only at 3:30 Eastern for the afternoon and evening games, including the NBA, NHL, and college basketball, as well as the NFL games that are there as well too. I want to thank everybody at the Britannia Arms of Cupertino for hosting us for the pregame kickoff, NFL Sunday ticket games, breakfast and lunch. It's early in the morning here still. It's 10:30 in the morning on the West Coast here, 1:30 wherever you are. But the alcohol's flowing. The mimosas are going. Hair of the dog or the underdog, I haven't decided yet. Maybe check us out at 3:30 on the social media. We'll figure it out from there. I'm sure that's a question raging across America right now of what I'm going to do. Yeah,
I got the over. I got the over on that, baby.
We'll figure that out by 3:30 for social media selections. Social media selection Sunday. Charlie will have selections for us. We'll post them. Intern Nick will as well too. And it's fun to do this at Live at the Britannia Arms next Sunday. Well in advance. Come down to Capitola. The beach is great. You can come out and check us out doing the same thing. 9:45 to 10:30 on the shores of the Pacific Ocean, Britannia Arms in Capitola Village. Again, let me give you some scores here before we get out of here. The NFL, the Chiefs have just scored again. It is 14-0. I got a bad feeling for the Raiders. We talked about that on Friday. There's some Raider fans in here. I don't want to say it out loud, but I had a bad feeling about the Raiders anyway, and maybe 10 wasn't going to be enough for the Raiders anyway to begin with. The Browns are driving. I think they got into the end zone. It's 9-0. They're going to review that. Jarvis Landry, who was questionable coming in, might have got himself a touchdown. So we're looking at 9-0. Yeah, 9-0, 10-0 possibly for the Browns. The Titans still with a 7-0 lead. The Chiefs have a 14-0 lead. Saints over the Jets. Cowboys over Washington. Both scores are 3-0. Atlanta has scored. So that's 7-7. Again, that's a big game for them. Atlanta and Carolina both at 5-7 with the playoff teams all at 6-6 right now with Washington and the 49ers in the 6 and 7 spot right now. The Cowboys driving as well too. 3rd and 10 inside Washington's red zone. They have a 3-0 lead as well. What was the other game we had? The Ravens. Oh, yeah, 10-0 now, Cleveland. So let's go, Lamar Jackson. Let's go. Both of us are on Baltimore. We know their record on the road, but good for Cleveland if they're running the ball right now. Anyway, thanks to everybody on Facebook, YouTube, everywhere out there. Join us again next Sunday from the Britannia Arms of Capitola. Join me tomorrow, 3:00 Eastern for the Make the Money and Run podcast. We'll review everything, go into full depth for Monday Night Football. We'll talk NBA, NHL, college basketball as we get into the holiday season. Charlie, thanks for doing this with me. We appreciate it.
Glad to be here.
All right, that'll do it for the Make the Money and Run podcast for Sunday. NFL pregame, live from the Britannia Arms. Come on down. Mimosas, food, breakfast, lunch, 20 TVs with the NFL Sunday ticket. Thanks again to the Britannia Arms. We'll see you later. Don't forget to check out social media at 3:30 Eastern for our selections for the afternoon and evening for all the games, including the NBA, NHL, college basketball. He's Charlie O. I'm Vasi Vadaparty. Have a great afternoon and evening. We'll see you tomorrow at 3 o'clock on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Take care, everybody.